the body positive crowd is not gonna like this. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we gotta talk about Air New Zealand weighing passengers as well as luggage before they get on the plane. So that's right, before you get on the plane, if you go to New Zealand, you wanna fly out, they're gonna put you on a scale and weigh you as well as your luggage. Now, this is a thing that kind of makes sense because you got to understand how much passengers weigh, right? Everything that goes on the plane should be weighed. Like, look at it like this. If a plane was designed to hold 200 passengers, but the weight of the passengers is too much, if the weight of the passengers is more than what they anticipated, then you cannot have that many passengers. If the average weight of a passenger is like 150 pounds, 125 pounds, including children and adults and everybody else, but then the average goes up 50 pounds, 45 pounds, maybe even 20, 15 pounds each, that's going to be a problem. You're not going to be able to have as many passengers on the plane as you anticipated. So, yeah, I think this makes 100% sense. Now, let's get into some news out there from New Zealand. Well, from Australia, same thing, Australia, New Zealand, whatever. Let's get into the news from them and see what they say about it. If you want to see everything, you know where it's at. It's in the description box. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. And without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Air New Zealand will be asking passengers to step onto the scales as part of a weight measuring survey before departures. The process might seem a little unconventional, but authorities say it's a requirement of the Civil Aviation Authority.
Now, I got to pause at certain points because Australia, some of these foreign countries are kind of weird with the copyright.
A weighty issue for passengers flying Air New Zealand.
They have nothing to worry about.
But for travellers who do worry about those extra kgs, they'll now extend beyond luggage.
That's an interesting scale. You know, it's not a typical bathroom scale, obviously. And, you know, it's kind of funny because it's big. Like, some people might be real big. They might need that extra space to get on the scale.
For a short period, passengers on selected international flights from Auckland will be asked to weigh themselves before boarding. And Air New Zealand load control improvement specialist Alastair James says there's good reason.
To fly safely and efficiently, we need to be able to calculate the weight and balance of the aircraft each and every time we fly.
The survey will also extend to Air New Zealand pilots and cabin crew.
When you go to the check-in counter, your bag goes through and it's weighed, but you're not. So we apply...
They're trying to get an average. They're not going to do it, like they said, they're not going to do it every single time for every flight, and it won't last indefinitely. It'll be for now, and they'll probably do it again in a year or however long they need to wait in between times they take averages of weights, because that'll determine how many tickets they sell, how many seats they make available. You know, that's pretty much how they're going to operate.
An average weight in those circumstances. So every 5 years we try and verify that our weights that we're using are accurate.
It's a quick and simple process. Individuals will step onto a set of scales and place their cabin baggage on another set of scales. A computer will register the weight after a few seconds and passengers can resume boarding.
It is something that we're required to do. Our regulator, the Civil Aviation Authority.
You know what they could do also is if somebody appears to be obviously overweight, you're talking about an obese person. I showed that clip with a young lady struggling to get through the airplane cabin, having to turn sideways and do all that kind of jazz to get through, squirming and squiggling through the cabin to get from point A to point B. If someone appears to be that big, they should require 2 tickets and have like 2 seats to themselves or 1 seat, because, okay, let's say somebody's 500 pounds, 400 pounds or whatever it is. Now, I'm 215 pounds right now. I'm not a small person. I'm 6'3", 215 pounds. I'm a pretty big guy. But if somebody's 400 pounds, that's 2 of me. So they should be required to get 2 tickets. That'll put it into the problem of people being crowded on the seats next to a gigantic person, and also the weight issue. That'll solve it right there. But rather than going about it that way, they're trying to use the average weights to only make a certain number of tickets even available so they don't have to cross over the limit of weight that'll make the aircraft dangerous or not as safe as what it could be to fly. If that makes any sense. I think that's kind of where they're going with this.
He expects us to account for all of the weight on board.
Some airlines in the US have been conducting weight assessments for passengers, but it's not common practice internationally. Air New Zealand has assured those who feel self-conscious shouldn't.
There's no weight shown on the screen anywhere. It's just captured and goes straight into the computer.
The survey will take place for more than 10,000 travellers between May 29 and July 2nd. Jessica Maggio, Sky News, Wellington.
So there we go. Shout out to Air New Zealand. Shout out to all the other airlines out there that are going to do the same thing. Of course, like I said, that news clip and the article will be in the description. But I think it makes sense because aircrafts, especially like some of the smaller planes, they're very weight sensitive. I was on one of those little pine hop planes one time, and they were talking about having to move some things around because of weight. The plane might have had, 20 passengers. It was a small plane. Weight is very important, even on a jumbo jet. It's going to be the same thing. Yes, they're big, and yes, they can handle a lot of weight. But like I said earlier, if you have room for 200 passengers, but the weight of the passengers is 50 more pounds than what they anticipated when they built the plane, now they got a problem. They're not going to be able to sell 200 tickets if people weigh that much on average. They got to reduce the number of tickets, or like what I said, have everybody get weighed before they get on the plane, which is kind of inconvenient, and it's going to slow things down. It's not going to be an efficient process. But if somebody's obviously overweight, like let's say, for example, when you go to some airlines, you got to put your bag in one of these little things that make sure that it'll fit in the overhead, or it's small enough to go where it has to go. And if your bag doesn't fit in there, you can't bring it on, or you got to check it, or whatever the case may be. Have that same thing for some of these people, some of these human beings. Okay, step up right here in this little line. If you can't get through the line without having to turn to the side, squiggling and squirming, squeezing through like a super toothpaste, if you can't do that, then you need to buy another ticket. But again, that's kind of an inefficient process. So the best way to go about it, let's capture the average over a certain period of time, doing the poll basically, and then we can see what we're dealing with. You're going to have some extremes, some really big weights, some small weights. Look at the middle, sell tickets based on that, then everybody's happy. Of course, you got some of the body positive people, the fat friendly people. They're not going to be too thrilled about it, but it is what it is. I don't care if you big, small, tall, whatever. Let's make the aircraft safe. If you and your 1,000-pound friends make the aircraft unsafe, then you got to go get an extra ticket or whatever the case may be. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How you feel about Air New Zealand and other airlines doing this? Is it a big deal? Do you think there's going to be an affront to the body positive people? Or is it about aircraft safety, nothing else? It's not meant to offend anybody or put anybody on blast, as the cool kids say. It's not even about that. It's about the safety of the aircraft. Whatever your thoughts on that are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. Hey, I have no problem here. This kind of just makes sense to me. All right. If the aircraft is overloaded, overweight, and now we got a problem in there, that's going to be an issue. I'd rather have them do this survey and conduct business in an efficient way rather than having some inefficient type stuff going on, people getting embarrassed, and there's fights in the tarmac or fights in the concourse. Ain't nobody got no time for that. Fights in the terminal. Nobody has time for that. Let's make this whole process quick and efficient, sell tickets appropriately, and go about it that way. But as a side note, we should probably start to get our weight under control as a people all over the world. We got too much obesity going on. Now, I'm not saying I look like some professional model or something like that. I'm not saying that. But good grief, if you are a human being, why do you weigh 500 pounds? Maybe don't weigh that much. Get your weight under control. Best way to go about it, push away from the table, push the fork away from your mouth. That makes sense to me. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.